Everyone has a story, and that story is important to understand where a person is coming from. So here's the story of my spiritual awakening after a long, dark night of the soul. I'd been a Mormon since I was 14. I'd gone on a journey to find the true church and finally settled on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I joined because I knew the story of Jesus being on this continent was true. How much of the rest of it was true, I never even questioned. My husband took the missionary lessons and joined as well. And we got married in the temple. And we struggled for the next 14 years. We had 5 children. My husband was in the bishopric. And I'm not sure what he saw, but we started to have these conversations about the church, and was it really true? Sometimes these talks would last until early morning. And after about a year of doing this, I began to see what it was he was saying. And then it gelled, and I knew he was right. We asked for excommunication. Actually, it was not all that simple, as the church has a lot of really positive things about it. But that was the decision we made. Now the problem was, if the church is not true, then what is? Where's God? What do you believe in? What do you do with God? For my husband, he became an agnostic atheist. Me, I just set my God on the shelf until such time as I found something that made more sense. We were soon divorced. He walked off, left me, the house, and the 5 kids. So now a single mother handling breadwinning, children, household, school, and everything. And for a while I did it. I handled it. Then I had a situation in my life. You've heard how people get touched by the Spirit and turn their lives around. Well, that is sort of what happened to me. Someday maybe I'll write a book about it, but suffice it to say, it was the wrong spirits. It was the Dark Lord's little henchmen that came to me. This is Google's idea of a demon. In actuality, they were beautiful. And the one that made me the offer looked like Yoda in a general suit. It was only after they didn't get their way that they shape-shifted into your worst nightmare. The general showed me a world that they would make me master of. They said they would make me mother of nations. I thought, you can't give me something that is already mine. And it was a frightful world. No way did I want to be mother of that. To shorten the story, the incident scared the hell right out of me. But in the process, I had taken on a couple, well, maybe more like a dozen, little critters. And the longer they remained with me, the stronger they became, and the more depressed I became. I went back to church and asked for an exorcism, and they gave me a blessing. I could see that they could not see my critters, and I never went back. But I sunk deeper into depression. I don't remember much of this time. My oldest daughter was 15, and she would tell the other children, "Shh, quiet, Mom is dying." Imagine what a load that is for a young woman. I could not answer the phone, a phobia I still have, and I don't know where my kids were, or how we ate, or how we paid the bills. It's a section of my life that's just gone. It was September 9th, 1987, the year of the harmonic convergence, which to me at the time meant nothing. I'd spent the last year in deep depression. I woke up with voices in my head telling me how worthless I was, how everyone would be better off without me. This went on for a couple of weeks. Then I heard a voice, Jesus, I believe, and it said, "Marcine, you are a survivor. You can do this." I got up that morning and went to work. I had my own business and my kids worked for me. But an altercation with my oldest son, Joseph, I just lost it. Hitting him, kicking him, screaming at him, and he just folded up in a fetal position while I pummeled him. This caused so much shame that I got in my car and drove. Nowhere in particular, just away. I found myself on the shores of Cascade Lake. In a secluded place, I paced among the trees, venting to my invisible God, the one I wasn't sure even knew I was alive. And I demanded of God, help me. I could not keep doing this. I was not the mother I wanted to be. I wasn't the person I wanted to be. In fact, I was worthless, with no redeeming value. And I didn't know what to do. And a voice answered me back, just like that, and told me I would have someone today. So with my heart lifted, I drove back to Boise. In my state of mind, I thought the voice meant a man, a partner, a love of my life, someone to share all this responsibility with. Well, that wasn't quite it. Then one day, this dark-haired one was trying to push the others out of the way, so I chose her, and she instantly was clear in my head. It was Nefertiti, Queen of Egypt. I knew her. It never occurred to me that it might be Isis or Cleo or someone else. Carmen told me to ask her about the true history and not to go read any books. So when I got home, I meditated, and Jesus came in. He said, "This is Nefertiti. She is a flower of great wisdom. Hear her." Then she came in. And I don't know if I asked a question or what. It's been 30 years. But she started to tell me about our connection. She said she was the wife of Akhenaten, one of one God fame. She said that the reason for that was Joseph. Yeah, the one of many color coat. He was like Akhenaten's best friend. Of course, we know the biblical story of how that all came to be. When I asked why she was my guide, she said I was her best friend, and I was a priestess in an Egyptian religion, and I easily converted to the one God. She explained how during the drought, people came from all over because Egypt had food due to Joseph's interpretation of Pharaoh's dream about the 7 fat cows and the 7 skinny cows. When her daughter got sick and none of the Egyptian healers could heal her, Joseph went among the people to find a healer that could help. And he found healers among many of these foreigners, all of whom tried. But it was among Joseph's own people that he was able to find a healer that brought the girl back to health. This basically was a recognition of all the experts and skilled artisans, healers, and scientists who were among the foreigners who had come to Egypt for food. So they called them together, the best in each field, and established schools and trades as well as healing. It was the healing school that became the mystery school, where the most talented clairvoyants and healers eventually taught 10,000 people to ascend. Nefertiti did all my channeling work, led the meditations, and on occasion would give me a message. In a couple of weeks, another came in. Like Nefertiti, it was instant recognition. It was a very young King David, and he came in with so much joy and enthusiasm that he just blasted everyone. His energy was hard for me to contain, and so I tapered off on letting him come through. My 2 oldest had left the nest, but the 3 youngest I drugged to all my sessions with Carmen, and they were having a great time with it. At one point, the boys stood in my long kitchen and threw energy balls at each other. My oldest boy, whom I had named after Joseph of Egypt, could throw an energy ball that would knock the young boys off their feet. And by the end of October, I was doing my own channeling, and my guides told me that Carmen had taken me as far as she could. By January, I started my own meditation and channeling group. It was in the middle of one of these meditations I got a new guide. His energy came in so strong, the sense of sureness, of no wavering. Everyone noticed. "Who was that?" they asked. Well, heck, I didn't know. I didn't ask. About the 3rd time, he showed me a gold statue of Moroni that is at the top of the temples. Oh, Moroni. Wow. Okay, so what? You gonna tell me I left the only true church? Or maybe he was going to give me the 2/3 of the golden plates to translate. That would be cool. Joseph Smith was not allowed to translate 2/3 of the gold plates that the angel Moroni had given him. He could not translate them because they were the stories of the women, which are obviously absent from the Book of Mormon. And a man can't tell them. A woman has to. But in 30 years, that had not been a subject either that he ever brought up. As he never said anything about the church or the gold plates ever, but he did talk to me about the earth, mostly on how to care for it. In their many messages, they had taught me about the living earth. Moroni in particular was always giving messages about the earth, so much so I had started doing earth healing ceremonies with Sam's group, in my way. I was doing my little part of this. While I was getting my own channeling, Sam was getting messages as well. My middle son John and I transcribed them from audio tape for Sam. Back in those days, it was the old Commodore, nothing more than a word processor. They are messages of what is in store for us as we move from 3D to 5D or above, and how to do it. When we were done with the transcribing, I gave everything to Sam. That was his mission. I didn't know at that point what mine was, but I was sure Sam's mission was not mine. However, one day, not too long ago, I was going through some old trunks. I found the only copy that I kept. We got on the internet to see if Sam had done anything with the Word of Now, and we could not find a hint of it anywhere, and so we published it, and it is available. My son John, through studying the Word of Now, the Book of Elijah, has raised his energy to the 12th level of Kundalini, and he simply followed the instructions of the Word of Now. There are 3 fires, or 3 energy systems in the body, and all 3 must be fired up and working. It was through Sam that I met Frank and Zamaya Jordan, a master healer team. Frank was a master dowser and had originated a healing process he called clearing the way. What I learned from Frank would eventually become basic healing classes that I taught, and Jesus called them spiritual alignment. And I found the dowsing was very important to earth healing. During this time, I worked with Zamaya and Frank, and I was learning their techniques, learning how to do what they did, and clearing myself of past lives, subpersonalities, blockages, lies I told myself, parallel lives, family karma, and thought forms. And Frank and Zamaya worked in tandem. While one was clearing something, the other was checking other levels and bringing them up to be cleared. It was very effective work. I remember clearing a subpersonality and walking around for 3 days not knowing who I was. However, there were certain things in the healing work that people could do themselves if they just knew how. Frank was all scientific. I wasn't scientific. I was an artist, and I needed it simplified. And that was how the Spiritual Alignment series came to be. So that is the journey that created the Spiritual Alignment Self-Healing classes. At first, there were 6 basic classes. Now they've grown to around 30. These DVDs are the culmination of 30 years and all that I have come to know through all the avenues that I have been exposed to. So they are really packed with information that I learned the hard way, information that I paid dearly for, information that will help you, like it has helped me and countless others, live their best lives in harmony with truth, love, and in peace and contentment. Here are the first 4 discs. The first 4 discs are the most important. You cannot heal, be a healer, or an energy healer if you cannot feel or see the energies. This is the crux of all healing work. Then you need to understand how healing works, how energy works, how spirit works. So the more you know about how spirit connects to the physical, the better healer you can be. And the earth works just like you and me. So here it is. I hope that it brings happy learning to you and peace and contentment.